It's Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. Welcome to the Blessors of Israel Podcast. I'm Matthew Dodd, Executive Director of Blessors of Israel. Yesterday, it was reported that Russia and Iran are in the final stages of finalizing a long-term comprehensive partnership. Russian ambassador to Iran, Alexei Didov, told Sputnik, quote, "This is truly the most important fundamental document, which may determine Russian-Iranian interaction for the coming years, and perhaps decades." Didov also noted that, quote, "Russian energy companies are successfully working in the Iranian market, while Russia has taken the first place in the foreign investment in Iran. This illustrates the real level of our relations." Last month, Reuters reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi worked together through the details of expanding the cooperation between the two nations on political, trade, and military fronts during 5 hours of talks in December of last year. And last November, the Kremlin said that Russia was working with Iran to strengthen their relations, quote, "including in the field of military technical cooperation." At that time, Reuters noted that Iranian authorities had said that, quote, "military cooperation with Russia is expanding day by day, and that Iran had finalized arrangements for Russia to provide it with Su-35 fighter jets, Mi-28 attack helicopters, and pilot training aircraft. Both the United States and Israel have rightly expressed their concerns about the deepening ties between Russia and Iran. As I shared during yesterday's podcast, which addressed recent revelations into the status of Iran's nuclear program, Iran is committed to the destruction of the United States and Israel. By strengthening ties with Iran, Putin is sending a clear message to Israel, the United States, and the West. In fact, Putin's upcoming treaty with Iran reinforces the message that he's been sending to Israel since October 7th of last year. Let's review what Putin has said and his government has done since Hamas attacked Israel on that horrific day in Israel's history. On October 13th of last year, Putin equated Israel's blockade of the Gaza Strip with Hitler's siege of Leningrad during World War II. On October 26th, Russia hosted representatives from Hamas and Iran in Moscow. The purpose of their meeting was to address the ongoing war with Israel and to discuss ways to stop the, quote, "Zionist crimes supported by the United States and the West." The Times of Israel reported that the Hamas delegation praised the position of Russian President Vladimir Putin and the efforts of Russian diplomacy. On November 1st of last year, Russia's representative to the UN said during an emergency special session of the General Assembly, quote, "The only thing they can muster is continued pronouncements about Israel's supposed right to self-defense, although as an occupying power, it does not have that power." On December 14th of last year, Putin praised Turkish President Erdogan after Erdogan declared his support for Hamas and insisted that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. Putin said of Erdogan, quote, "He is certainly one of the leaders of the international community who's paying attention to this tragedy and doing everything to change the situation for the better, to create conditions for long-term peace. God bless him." Is Putin a friend of Israel? Clearly, the answer is no. Well, why are these developments important when it comes to Israel and the events of the latter days? Because Russia and Iran will play significant roles in the events leading up to the Great Tribulation. As I shared yesterday, the Battle of Gog and Magog will precede the Great Tribulation. During the Battle of Gog and Magog, there will be an alliance of nations against Israel, which will be led by the leader of Russia, Gog, the prince of Rosh, according to Ezekiel 38, verse 4. Persia, or modern-day Iran, will be part of that alliance which will attack Israel in the latter years. This is found in Ezekiel 38, verses 5 and 8. These nations will devise an evil plan against Israel and with overwhelming force come like a storm, like a cloud covering the land. This is found in Ezekiel 38, verses 9 and 10. In the midst of this great opposition, God will come to Israel's rescue and pour out his blazing wrath upon her foes in order to deliver Israel from certain destruction through a series of cataclysmic judgments. They're found in Ezekiel 38, verses 18 through 23. Let's walk through them together. First, God will send a great earthquake in the land, and all the men who are on the face of the earth will shake at God's presence. The mountains also will be thrown down. The steep pathways will collapse, and every wall will fall to the ground. Second, the invading armies will turn against each other, because God will call for a sword against them on God's holy mountain, and every man's sword will be against his brother. Third, God will send a deadly pestilence upon Israel's enemies, and with blood enter into judgment against them. Finally, God will rain down upon the invading armies a torrential rain with hailstones, fire, and brimstone. God's judgment against Israel's enemies will be so severe that it will take Israel 7 months to bury their enemies and 7 years to gather and destroy their weapons. This is found in Ezekiel 39, verses 9 through 16. This divine deliverance will be in keeping with God's promise to Abraham when he said in Genesis 12, verse 3, "I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you, I will curse." So, the developments between Russia and Iran are setting the stage for the events prophesied by the prophet Ezekiel 2,600 years ago. And through it all, God will reveal himself to Israel and the many nations so that they will all know that he alone is Lord. Ezekiel 38, verse 23. Will you please join me in praying for the peace of Israel and for the leaders of these United States? To receive the latest news concerning Israel with biblical commentary, visit our website at www.blessors.org. That's Blessors with an ORS.org. Please subscribe to our channel on this platform and also like this video. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Getter. We also appreciate your prayers and ongoing financial support as we build this new important ministry. Thanks again for joining me. Remember, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Shalom, shalom.